Do you guys hate me when I come in and film?
No, not at all.
Matt? No. Kelsey? Dougie? Gentlemen, here's the deal. Over the past 20 years, I've had over 20 different businesses. Most of them didn't work out. Some of them have. Some of them actually have done over $10 million a year, like this one here, Pete and Pedro. My other one, Tiege Hanley, will do close to 20. Gentlemen, today I'm going to go over some of the lessons that I've learned the hard way. My hope is that you're smarter than me and you can learn from my mistakes because I've made a bunch. So a little bit about me. I am not somebody that is super smart. I work really hard and I'm kind of hard-headed and I'm willing to basically take a shot without knowing the outcome. And that really, I feel, is my superpower. I'm willing to risk it and I believe in myself. I also believe in the fact that, you know, luck and fortune favors the bold and the people that are willing to take action without knowing the end result. And this is something that's really hard to kind of embrace if you haven't failed big. For me, one of the best things that ever happened to me was my fitness center failing. Me filing bankruptcy, me driving a beer cart, me being completely broke and not knowing where my next dream or goal was gonna take me. All right, it was the best thing that ever happened for me. And the reason is pretty simple, because it took a lot of the fear of failure away. And so the first thing that I would just like to leave you with, or I should say share with you, is good enough is done. And what I mean by this is, unfortunately, we get preoccupied with trying to make something perfect, or we think that, okay, I'm not gonna launch, or I'm not gonna start, or I'm not gonna do this until, and then you've got this list of things that you think that you need to do in order to basically launch. So that when you launch, if it's perfect in your mind, it's perfect, or it's really good, or you've planned and prepared, you crossed all your T's, you dotted all your I's, then you're going to succeed. The reality is that you just gotta get started. All right, and you're gonna realize that once you start that what you thought was perfect and what you planned for, it ends up not happening. Mike Tyson likes to say, or one of his favorite quotes, or I should say my favorite quotes of Mike Tyson is, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. All right, same thing goes for business. Everybody's got a plan or how you think things are gonna go until you actually launch. And then when you launch, when you get out there, then you're gonna start to get punched in the face, which brings me to the second thing that I wish I knew, and that is, it is much harder than you think it's gonna be. It's also gonna take longer than you expect. You've gotta prepare, you've gotta plan, which brings me to the next lesson. Make sure that your expenses are as low as possible, because one of the things and mistakes that a lot of entrepreneurs make, or people that think they wanna be entrepreneurs, is they think that they need a lot of stuff. They think that they need the big warehouse. They need the expensive whatever. When the reality is that all these things that you're basically spending money on aren't gonna help you drive more sales. You've gotta save money, you've gotta conserve cash, because cash is the thing, it's the lifeblood of your business and your entrepreneurial endeavors. And also, inventory. You see right now, right? I have a shit ton of inventory in my warehouse. Way more than I should. And the reason, well, there are a few reasons. The reason why I've got so much inventory is because things got weird. Things got weird with COVID, things got weird with ordering, things got weird with the election, everything's gotten weird. And so I've had to over order, all right? I like to keep around $500,000 of inventory on hand, knowing that, okay, it's gonna take me X number of months to get new products when I run out, and I have basically everything dialed in terms of my lead times. Well, unfortunately, that has all changed. Everything has changed, and lead times now, when it comes to ordering, some lead times are like 20 weeks, 30 weeks. And so in order for me to not run out of business or go out of business, I've got to order more. The only way I can order more is if I have the cash. If you don't have the cash because you're overspending, you can't basically prepare yourself for this. But the other reality is that another mistake that a lot of people make is that they over order inventory. And when you over order inventory, this is almost equally as bad. And the reason is pretty simple, because all of the inventory you see, all this is dead dollar bills. I can't do anything with this money until I sell through. And so one of the things you've got to figure out is really knowing your numbers and really understanding like what your inventory and cash requirements are going to be, and then dialing it in. Don't base things on best case scenario. Best case scenario never happens. Worst case rarely happens, but we've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen the worst case scenario. And the only reason why I am still in business to this day is because I was conservative with my cash and I didn't overspend. All right, something you really need to figure out. You've got to know your numbers, which is the next thing. The next thing that I'd like to share with you is know when it's time to stop. And this is one of the hardest things. Hey, Dougie, what? What do you want, buddy? What? You have anything to add? He says treats. Always have lots of treats. Get out of here. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Know when to shoot the bleeding dog. All right, another thing that people do, unfortunately, is they don't want to admit when things aren't working. Kevin O'Leary, he says it all the time, 3 years. If you've been doing something for 3 years and it's still not working, chances are you can do it for another 3 and it's not going to work. You've got to be smart enough and humble enough to acknowledge when things are not right. The reason why I've had 20 businesses and I only now have like 3, 4, maybe 5 is because I knew when it was time to shut the other ones down. Even a business like my sunglass company, Enemy, that did millions of dollars in sales, it wasn't right. I did it for 4 years. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to give what it needed and required in order for me to really grow it and scale it. And I knew that my time was better spent trying to scale this business, Pete and Pedro. It was better trying to start the White Label Empire to help other entrepreneurs start businesses, which I will link to down below. If you're somebody real quick that wants to start a business, join my community, the White Label Empire. I'm going to help you. I'm going to walk you step by step. I've created a curriculum that's going to basically help you avoid some of the speed bumps that I've hit over the years and really just help you get there faster, as opposed to spending a lot of time, money, and energy learning the mistakes that I have learned. The community is amazing. We are there to support and help each other grow and do something amazing. I'm also in there every single week doing a live coaching call that's about an hour and a half and answering your business questions live. I'm gonna link to that down below if you're interested in joining us. Anyway, the next thing I wish I knew sooner is don't ask your mom for her advice or if she thinks it's a good idea. And this one is so important for you to understand. We need friends in our lives that are willing to tell us the truth as opposed to what we want to hear. If you ask your mom if she thinks it's a good idea, 100% of the time she's going to say yes. 100% of the time your mom's going to be like, yeah, that's a great idea. It's awesome, right? And you're like, but I'm selling like chocolate covered I'm selling like chocolate covered X-Acto knives. And she's like, yeah, that's awesome. You're going to sell a lot of them, right? No, you're not. You're going to sell 0. Do not ask your mom or your friends if they think something is a good idea, because they're going to lie to you. And the reason is because they don't want you to have your feelings hurt and they want to support you. Don't ask your mom. Ask people that are willing to tell you the truth. And don't be so rigid in your ideology or what you think you should do or what you think is right. You've got to listen to your customers. And that's the next thing that I wish I knew sooner. Listen to your customers. They will tell you what to do. They will tell you what not to do. They will tell you what they like, what they don't like. And you got to understand that you got to take care of your customers. The next thing I wish I knew sooner is that you can't do it by yourself. And the quicker you realize that, the quicker you understand that you need to hire amazing people, you're going to go faster, you're going to go further. But when you try to micromanage everything like I used to do and try to control everything, you are holding yourself back and you're stifling your growth. But when you surround yourself and hire people that have your back, that have your best interest in mind, that can allow you to do what you're good at and they do what they're great at, it's amazing how fast you actually scale. Now, when you're first starting, you're gonna have to wear all the hats. But instead of you trying to keep all the profit to yourself, what I would recommend is think of it more as an investment. You're investing in your future, you're investing in people, which is going to then, in turn, allow you to grow and scale your business a lot bigger and better. But the other thing you gotta understand, if there's somebody in your organization that is not a good fit or that is toxic, you need to get rid of them as fast as humanly possible. Cancer, literally, they're like a cancer that will fester and ruin the entire environment, ruin the morale, and it's something that's going to affect you and your bottom line, whether or not you realize it or not. The other thing I just like to recommend is treat people and pay people well. One of the reasons why I feel like I've been successful is that I have hired well and I take care of my people. And if you take care of your people, they're gonna stick around. They're also gonna take care of you. And, and this is one of the things that unfortunately a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs think, oh, I'm going to try to save every penny. I'm going to try to be cheap when it comes to paying or compensating my team members. And honestly, the worst thing you can do is be cheap. You've got to be generous because, once again, you can't do it alone. And trying to do it alone or trying to save every penny in terms of paying your employees or paying bonuses or doing anything like that, it's a recipe for disaster because they're going to leave, they're going to get disenchanted, and then you're going to try to have to hire somebody or find somebody to fill their position, which takes time, it takes resources, it takes energy. Pay people well. I'm telling you, if you're successful, everybody should be successful. Next thing I want you to know is it's important to be nimble. And what I mean by this is if you get bogged down in protocol or procedures or tons of meetings and it becomes difficult for you to make a decision and change on the fly, this is going to hurt your business. One of the other reasons why we've been able to be successful at Pete and Pedro and some of my other ventures is because we're small and we're nimble. If we see a trend, if we see something that's not working, we quickly pull the plug or change direction. You gotta be fast, you gotta be nimble, right? Oh, did you like that? Exactly. Because if you get stuck in place and you think, okay, I'm gonna just let this play out for the next 3 months or 4 months, when you know in your head this probably isn't working, the numbers don't lie, and that's something else. Know your numbers, know your advertising, know your LTV, your lifetime value, know your cost of goods, know all your numbers, because until you do, you can't make smart decisions when it comes to marketing or spending, which brings me to the next point I wanna make. Marketing is the most important thing that you're going to have to figure out. It's not making a great product. Anybody can make a great product. There are a lot of amazing products that have gone out of business because they didn't figure out how to market or get their product in front of the customer who is interested in buying it. Marketing is the missing link. It's hard, it's getting more competitive, it's getting more expensive. You've got to look for little windows, little opportunities, you've got to test things, but you've got to know your numbers. If not, you are never going to figure it out. And if you rely on agencies, they are going to lie to you. That is one of the other things I just like to tell you and mention. Agencies bullshit. They try to make themselves look like they're producing or they're making you money or they're doing all these things. You've got to know if they're bullshitting you, and the only way you're going to know that is if you know your numbers and trust your instinct. Agencies are one of the biggest black holes of spending and wasting money. And by the time you realize that, oh, I wasted a lot of money, a lot of times you're in trouble. So you've got to be on top of things. You've got to not just trust people. Use your instincts, or I should say trust but verify. And if it doesn't look right or things aren't jiving or matching up in terms of, oh, you're saying that this is where we should be, but this is what my bank account shows, something's fishy, something's funky. Trust your instincts. And the last thing I just like to mention is get to work. Start today, do not wait. Fortune favors the bold, the people that are willing to take risks, the people that are willing to take action. Nothing great was ever accomplished because it was easy. It's going to be hard, but at the end of the hard is more hard. That's the last thing I'd like to share with you. It never gets easy. But that's one of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur and being in business. You get obsessed with fixing problems, changing things, and figuring out how to grow, how to scale. It's not fast, it's not easy, but it's one of the most amazing things you'll ever do.